If you've been doing affirmations every single day and your life still looks the same, this video is going to tell you why, because affirmations, they're not these magic spells that you cast. And if you don't understand how your brain actually processes these affirmations, then you're just saying words hoping some miracle happens. But when you learn how to do them in a way that your brain actually understands and the way that your brain is actually wired to receive them, that's when your entire life begins to change. Welcome back, my babes. In today's video, we're talking about why affirmations don't work the way we've been taught and what you can do instead so you can actually start to rewire your brain so you can create the relationship and life that you want. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Jess. I'm a relationship coach, and I help you become the woman who naturally attracts the relationship and life you desire by raising your self-worth, your feminine confidence, and your standards so you become a natural match to the love and life you want. If you're an affirmations girly and you're feeling frustrated and you're not seeing this beautiful life unfold that you so desperately want, I see you and I get you, because my girl, I used to be you. Most people are using affirmations like there's some kind of magical spell. They'll walk around and they'll say things like, I am loved, or I am confident, I am worthy, I am resilient, I am amazing. But then after they do that, they just will close up their journal and then go about their day and fall back into these old patterns because their brain is not wired to actually believe what they're saying is true. So it continues to look for evidence throughout their entire day, throughout their entire experience, to prove what they actually subconsciously believe, which may not be what you're trying to affirm. So you could be saying things like, I am worthy, but then your brain subconsciously, it doesn't believe that you truly are because of some trauma or some pattern that you've picked up throughout your life. So it will be constantly scanning for reasons that you're not worthy, if that's what you truly believe subconsciously. Or you could be saying, I am loved, and your brain will be scanning for the opposite because you truly don't believe that you are loved. Or it could be, I am confident, but then your brain will be scanning for things that show you that you're actually insecure because deep down subconsciously, that is what you actually believe. And this is why affirmations do not work, because your brain does not change, your brain does not rewire through just repetition. It will change when you combine repetition with evidence. Your brain is constantly filtering your reality through something called your reticular activating system, or your RAS. So you can think of your RAS as like a bouncer at a nightclub. It's gonna decide what gets in, what gets out, what gets attention, and what gets ignored. And the reason we have this RAS is because we are getting millions of pieces of information every single second. And if we were to take in all that information, our brain would probably explode. It would just be so impossible. We'd be so overwhelmed. So what the RAS does is it will filter out what it believes is important. And you know what it believes is important? Your identity and your beliefs. Your subconscious makes up 90 to 95% of your decisions and your behaviors. 90 to 95%, that's a lot. Think about that. 90 to 95% of what you're doing every single day is being operated from a part of you that you really have no direct access to. Your subconscious is developed between the ages of 0 to 7, sometimes into your teenage years, even up into your 20s, depending on what's happened. So if deep down you feel that you are not enough, your brain will search your reality for evidence that proves that is true. The brain's job is to keep you alive. That's all it wants. So what feels familiar to it is what feels safe. And all it wants to do is prove that your internal reality matches your external reality, because that's what feels familiar and safe to it. So when you say things like, I am loved, I am successful, I am worthy, I am enough, your brain will automatically reject it if you do not find proof to support what you're saying is true. It will revert back to its old programming. This is why some of you may feel that resistance when you are trying to do your affirmations, because your brain automatically goes, no, you aren't. Who are you? What are you kidding? Because your brain does not believe you. Or maybe you've been doing them for a while and you haven't experienced any change in your life. So you're just feeling disappointed, like, oh, this doesn't work. But there is one powerful thing you can do, and I mean super powerful, to actually make affirmations work for you. All right, so the goal here is not to force your brain into changing overnight. In fact, we cannot do this. The brain needs time to rewire, especially depending on how old you are, it could take a little bit longer. But the more repetition you do, the more consistent you are with this practice, you will see your external reality begin to change because you are literally shifting your internal reality. So the goal here is to start building evidence. You need evidence to prove that what you're saying is true. And this is the missing piece that most people don't talk about. So I like to think of myself as like, I'm lawyering up here. I'm presenting my case for why these affirmations are true. And I'm going to be looking for all of the evidence that proves that every single affirmation I am saying is true. So here's how to actually do this. Step 1, you need to write down your affirmation that you want to use to start to reprogram your mind. So we already know this, right? This is how we were taught to do affirmations. You write it down, you say it out loud, whatever, and then you beat it to death hoping that it sticks. Well, this is only step 1. There is a second part to this exercise, which I'm going to go over right now. Step 2, you need to find the evidence. So now you've written down your affirmation. Now you need to collect the evidence that proves that this affirmation is true. And not like future evidence, not someday evidence, not invisible evidence, evidence that is true today. So let's use the affirmation, I am worthy, as an example here. So you write down, I am worthy. Now you need to find all the evidence that is true in your life today that supports that affirmation. So for example, it could be, I set boundaries with a difficult person today. That shows that you are worthy of that respect, or you respected your own boundaries today, or maybe you accepted support today. You are worthy of that help, or maybe it's that you rested instead of continuing to work and push yourself. You are worthy of that rest. Let's use another example. Let's use the affirmation, I am loved. So now that you have that affirmation, you need to go and find all the evidence in your life that is present, that is current today, that proves that you are loved. So that can look like, my husband kissed me when I woke up this morning. That shows me that I'm loved. Or my dog came and curled up next to me while I was reading. That made me feel so loved. Or my best friend checked up on me. She sent me an audio note and just was asking how I was doing. That can show me that I am loved. So you see how we are collecting evidence, and all of that evidence is proof that your affirmation is true. So I know there's gonna be some critics out there. They're gonna say, but Jess, those are so small. That's not exactly the kind of love I'm calling in, or the kind of, worthiness I'm calling in. And I hear you. However, your brain does not understand the difference between the love or the worthiness or the size or whatever it is. All it understands is that feeling that you feel that helps support your affirmation. So if you want to feel loved, then you have to tell your brain, I feel loved. You have to have the feeling of what you're calling in before you can actually attract it. Your brain cares about the feeling and the pattern, and your brain learns, it rewires through that pattern recognition. And so something really cool happens over time. It starts to believe, okay, yes, this is true. Because remember that RAS we were talking about, the bouncer we were talking about that lets in and out what it wants to filter, it will start to look for what you believe is true. So if you're seeing love all around you and you're feeling worthiness because of all these little things that are happening around you, your RAS will start to filter and start to be like, oh, worthiness here, love here, and you'll start to see more of that around you, which will just attract more abundance, more opportunities, more possibilities, more love, and more worthiness. This is how neuroplasticity works. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire through thoughts, emotions, and experiences. So the more you repeat a thought and emotionally reinforce it with evidence, the stronger those new neural pathways will become. Which means eventually the confidence will feel natural, the love will feel natural, the worthiness will feel natural. All these things that you are affirming every single day will begin to feel natural. And this is how we begin to create a new identity. And this is not because you forced your brain to live in this big fantasy world. This is because you retrained your brain to recognize a new reality. This is power, and this is how powerful you are. We have full control over our reality. And I'll level with you. There was a time in my life where I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel in control. I didn't feel lovable or worthy. And no amount of saying I am loved or I am worthy was ever going to change that until I actually started living it. And when I finally started living it, that's when my reality changed. That's when I called in my husband. That's when I started living my dream life. And I didn't have have all this huge proof to pull from, I started collecting the tiniest pieces of proof. But those tiny pieces of proof were just the catalyst to the bigger change I was about to experience, because everything is compounding. And as soon as I started noticing all of these positive things in my life, my reticular activating system, my RAS, constantly started filtering out my reality so that I would see that. And the proof got bigger and bigger and bigger as time went on. It was the smallest piece of evidence that created the biggest shifts in my life. Here's what I know is true. If you are stuck in your negative patterns, if you're constantly looking for negative things in your life, capping the downside, playing victim, then your brain will consistently and constantly be filtering your reality so that it just proves that all that is true. But once you shift and you start to look at the positive things in your life, what's the best case scenario, get out of that victimhood and try to see more possibility in your life, your brain will do nothing but help build that evidence bank so that it proves that that is true. And that, my girl, is when your life truly will change. And it just takes a small shift at first so that you can create this big new change in your life and truly call in the relationship and life you desire. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I am so happy that you joined me today to watch this video. This was something that really helped me change my life and rewire my brain. And so I hope it helps you too. So if this resonated, please like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if it was helpful, please share with a woman who you think would benefit from seeing this today. And if you're ready to start becoming the woman who naturally attracts the relationship and life you desire, within the next 30 days, I do offer one-to-one coaching and only work with a small group of women at a time because this is so high touch and intimate. And I love making sure everyone gets the attention that they deserve while we start on this journey together. So I will leave my book a call link in the description below so you can book a free relationship call with me. We can chat, see where you're at, see where you want to be, and see if we're a good fit to work together. All right, and remember, self-love isn't optional. It's a foundation for the relationship and life you desire. I'll see you in the next video.